What I am about to show you is one of the most commonly used and visually striking pieces of anti-Israel propaganda. Here are 4 maps purporting to show a Palestinian loss of land. It's important to break this image down, tackling the falsehoods one by one. First, we need to be clear that the term Palestinian, as referring to Arabs living in this area, was invented by Yasser Arafat in 1964. Prior to that, these people were known only as Arabs. Even in the 1947 UN partition plan, there's no mention of Palestinians, but rather, respectively, the Jewish population and the local Arab population. And this makes sense, because there's never been a Palestinian state. In the same vein, there's never been Palestinian land. Rather, the land was part of the British Mandate for Palestine, a geographical area controlled by Britain after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire at the end of the First World War. The first map purports to show the whole of Palestine in 1946. The flag you see here was actually first adopted in 1964 by the PLO. The vast majority of the area is shaded green to represent the 1 million Arabs living there, whilst the white spots represent 500,000 Jewish inhabitants. This map conveniently omits the area of the Mandate which, on the 15th of May 1923, Britain severed to create an independent Transjordan, handing 3/4 of the British Mandate. This created the Hashemite Kingdom, which we know today simply as Jordan, a Muslim Arab state with a population of 70% Arab Palestinian descendants. By refraining from depicting the whole of the British Mandate, the propagandist presents it as 1/4 of its actual size, and falsely represents it as Palestinian land. The second map suggests that the UN partition plan, which ended the British Mandate, established Jewish land and Palestinian land. While the partition plan called for the creation of a Jewish state and a state for the local Arab population, the Arabs rejected the plan. They refused to accept the existence of a state for the Jews, so a second state, after Jordan, for the local Arab population never materialized. Instead, in 1948, within hours of its declaration of independence, 7 Arab countries attacked Israel with the intent of annihilating it. The end of that war, in which the fledgling Jewish state defended itself and fought for its very survival, brings us to the third map. Often called the 67 borders, these are neither borders nor do they date from 67. This is in fact the armistice line of 1949, simply reflecting which entity controlled what land when the fighting stopped. Map number 3 represents Gaza and the West Bank as Palestinian land. This is again a falsehood. The West Bank was land occupied by Jordan from 1948 to 67 and ethnically cleansed of its Jews. Gaza was occupied by Egypt from 49 to 67. Still today, Egypt holds parts of the Strip from Rafah to the south. Again, the attempt to present the green shading as Palestinian land is categorically false. The fourth map shows what it terms Palestinian land today and implies that this is what remains of a larger original territory. This is not what is left. Rather, it is the only land which Palestinians have ever controlled. In the Oslo Accords, the green areas within the West Bank were ceded by Israel to the PLO in exchange for peace. Sadly, the Palestinian end of that bargain was never upheld. Terror attacks against Israeli civilians and their property have continued in the 25 years since then, funded and encouraged by the PLO. Now, there is an additional falsehood propagated by these maps. Let's look at the first map, with its green depiction of 1 million Arabs in 46. Where is the representation of these Arabs in the last map? The propagandist wants you to believe that they were ethnically cleansed. In reality, today nearly 2 million live across Israel as Israeli citizens. Yet there's no green shading outside of the West Bank and Gaza. Another blatant falsehood. Sadly, these misrepresentations are widespread. Just do a Google image search to see how pervasive they are. These false maps are relied on as fact by respected journalists and academics worldwide, who themselves have been fooled into believing them. They in turn unwittingly spread the propaganda themselves. We cannot allow these lies to continue. Share this clip and spread the truth about these maps. I'm Kiki Hausdorff, and you're watching JTV.
To stay up to date with the latest JTV content, if you're on YouTube, click subscribe below the video and the alarm bell. And if you're on Facebook, click the like button, and under following, click See first.